thank the chairman. I would note that were my child one of the 15%, even if I take the chairman or the ranking member, I should say, at his word, I would be pretty frustrated about your child being lost. If you send your kids to school and they say, well, we kept up with 85% of them, boy, would you feel good about the education system? Because what about those other 15% of kids? Even if you take the ranking member at his word. I've got a FOIA request here from Judicial Watch from, this is now 6 years dated, that has a laundry list of incidents put out by ORR through a FOIA request detailing laundry list of abuses of children. This one, young girl reported she was inappropriately touched by an unknown male immigrant in the group after entering the U.S. Another one, several appeals reported staff they were inappropriately touched. Another one where somebody paid money to have sex with her. Another, I can just go down the list of hundreds of these examples. And somehow in the greatest country in the history of the world, the most powerful country in the history of the world, we think this is a system that we should defend. It blows my mind that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle want to defend a system of laws that allows this to occur to children and then brush away that MAGA extremist New York Times for daring to point out that 85,000 kids aren't being found from the first contact, my colleagues on the side of the aisle say. Oh, okay. We just didn't get them on that first call. I would ask each of the witnesses very quickly, do you think that the data is showing that since President Biden took office that 356,665 unaccompanied alien children have crossed the southern border that we know of and been placed in HHS custody? Is a system that attracts that number of children unaccompanied to come across our border, to be exploited by cartels, to be put into the sex trafficking trade, to be put into the slave labor trade, to be sexually abused, to die on ranches in South Texas, to drown in the Rio Grande? Yes or no? Is that a system that you're proud of as an American and that you think is good?
No, Congressman.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Rodriguez.
No, sir, I'm appalled.
Ms. Vaughn.
No, indeed.
Mr. Kerry.
I'd like to point out.
It's yes or no question. Are you proud of a system in this country that has 356,000 unaccompanied alien children that allow that to occur to children? That we know, by your own acknowledgement and testimony, by our own understanding, children are being abused, raped, they get killed in this process. The system that we've created to allow and attract that flood across our border, do you think that is a good system, and are you proud of it as an American?
These children are fleeing violence and threats of death in their country of
The
origin.
numbers have been spiking under this administration because of the policies of this administration, and it is well documented. I just want to make clear, you're standing behind the policies of this administration, that you're proud of these policies and what that is allowing to occur to these children.
I do not currently work for the administration.
Doesn't matter to me. Are you proud of this administration's policies and what currently is occurring to these children because of the policies attracting 356,000 unaccompanied alien children when we know the data? 85,000 lost, reams of scores. You worked there, you know, of the rapes, of the people getting killed, of the slave labor. Do you think this is a system that we should say we're proud of?
I believe we should provide protection to children who are fleeing death and persecution.
Let me ask you a different question.
And they should be allowed an opportunity for
Do you believe that the TVPRA policies adopted, that unchecked and unfixed by this current Democratic administration and by my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, did that have anything to do with attracting all of those children across the border?
Well, I do believe that the Trafficking Victims Protection Act is an important component of U.S. child protection.
Is it a magnet right now, the way it is currently constructed, why children were riding on the top of train cars? President Obama was appalled. Jay Johnson was appalled. This administration doesn't seem to care. Yes or no, is our current system a magnet to kids?
I do not believe it is.
You don't believe it's a magnet?
No.
Well, that's the problem. I yield back.